So we just hit over 100 subscribers. Thank you all so much. I think we're up to like 116. So I asked on Instagram around the 82 mark of what would be a 100 subscriber video that you'd want to see. And somebody who's followed me for a while on Instagram, Chevy, I think like 94 is what he goes by, suggested the 20th anniversary of the GameCube, which is amazing because I loved the GameCube. If I was going to make a top list of consoles, the GameCube would be on it. We were quite an edgy group in the early 2000s. Like, check out this commercial.
Nintendo GameCube.
Alright, so let's talk about the GameCube. 20 years old. Happy birthday, GameCube. I got my GameCube probably in the 2002 to 2003 era. We were visiting family members that I'd never met before. And after talking for a while, they randomly look at me and they're like, if you could have anything for Christmas, what would it be? And of course, I was like, the GameCube. And he's like, oh, well, I have one in the room. I never play it. You can just have it. And it was a silver GameCube with a copy of Metroid Prime. So I was gifted my first GameCube. And I have loved collecting for it ever since. I have a Japanese GameCube, the Spice Orange one, which that's been fun to have in my collection. I ended up getting a bunch of loose Japanese discs locally where I'm from for about $30. And this was probably roughly 6 years ago or so. I was really surprised to find somebody posting Japanese games in my area. That is very, very uncommon. But I'm very thankful to have them. It makes for some interesting game nights where you play with friends and you make them play Japanese Mario Party. And sometimes nobody has no idea what's going on. And, you know, you have a couple drinks and it just makes it a little bit more interesting. Alright, so let's switch gears here. Let's talk about the games I have in my collection. My GameCube collection isn't big, but it's mighty. I love majority of the games that are in my collection, and a lot of them I actually owned growing up. So let's start from Tony Hawk Underground 2. I played the hell out of this game. I love that you get to play as Bigfoot. That was probably one of my favorite things. And then of course seeing Bam in it was really exciting. MTV was much bigger back then than it is now in terms of like reality TV. Tony Hawk Underground 1. I played this a lot more on the PlayStation 2 than I did on the GameCube, but I figured since I had it, the other one, I might as well have it. The Sims, always a great game to play. These are a lot different than their PC counterparts back in the day. I played the PC a lot more. Looks like this was a Goodwill find for $3. Apparently I do leave my sticker on things. TAC, the Great Juju Challenge, I think is what it's called. I've never played this. I think this was just a cheap pickup for me at one point, so I just added it to my collection. A must-own for GameCube owners, Super Smash Bros. Melee. I feel like I don't really have to say much about this one. Everyone pretty much knows, but this is probably the only Super Smash Bros. That I've given more of than 5 hours of my time to. My friend and I played this a lot. I think we did the individual mini challenges more than anything. Super Monkey Ball. This was a Game Crazy pickup, probably in the last 5 years. I don't recall, but I do remember when I bought this. By 6 months later, the price went up. A staple, of course, Super Mario Sunshine. I'm surprised.
No!
I'm surprised that this was not the choice for the release for the system. Luigi's Mansion, of course, was the one that did that, and I'm glad, you know, they tried to go a different route, but I'm really surprised they didn't go with a Mario title. Star Fox Assault, I've heard really great things about this. I haven't played it quite yet. I've got a lot of games in my backlog, but this one I got at a local thrift store, actually, for 12 bucks it looks like. I haven't taken off the price tag yet. And then, of course, Shadow the Hedgehog. They gave him a gun. I mean, what more do I need to say about that one? And Star Fox Adventures. I think this is the one that was originally like some sort of dinosaur game, and then they slapped on like Star Fox instead since he was a more like noticeable character. Resident Evil 4. I don't play a lot of Resident Evil games. I'm not a big zombie person. Maybe if you guys hit me up in the comments down below, maybe you can get me to stream this or something. Just understand, I get scared pretty damn easy, so. This game is going up in price. Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. I haven't beaten this one, but holy cow, the prices for some of these GameCube games are getting out of control. I mean, Pokemon Coliseum, this is the one I grew up with this one. I played the hell out of this one. It's a lot of fun. They changed the story dramatically. You know, it had a lot more of a darker aspect to it. Pokemon were being converted into these like mindless machines, and they basically closed their heart. You had to catch these dark Pokemon and slowly like chip away at them until you could get them to open up again. This game was a lot of fun, and this one's also going up in price. Probably one of the most boring games on GameCube, Pokemon Channel. You basically babysit Pikachu and watch TV. I played this as a kid, that's why it's in my collection. It also had Pokemon episodes in it, I think one whole episode that you unlocked, and that's what made that one pretty cool. Pac-Man Fever. I think this was another just thrift store pickup. I haven't played it quite yet. It's kind of weird that there's some weird dudes on there, but I bet you that one's pretty fun. Do you remember these like ghetto cases that you used to get? One Piece Grand Battle is what this game is. I don't know why I haven't been motivated to find the original case for this, but it's in my collection. I haven't played it yet. Need for Speed Underground, another game. Goodwill Find It looks like, $3. I love the Need for Speed series, more so Most Wanted, but I mean, the Underground series was pretty good. I have that one, and Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. I think I spent a lot more time playing this one than the other Underground series ones. I think a friend had it, and I ended up spending my whole weekend just like playing it in her living room. Naruto Clash of the Ninja, I think. Number 2. I haven't played this one really a lot. I think I dabbled for like a moment. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I have not played this one, but I had to make sure I had it because Metroid Prime, the first one, which I also really haven't played a lot of. I did get my GameCube with this game, and I'm surprised I didn't try it out more. It's definitely on my to-do list. Everyone needs Mario Party games in their GameCube collection. I only have Mario Party 6. I'm missing the other ones, and I'm going to keep a lookout for them, but they're so expensive. It's really hard to collect for those. Probably my all-time favorite Mario Kart Double Dash. This one just had a charm to it. I can't quite pinpoint it. You know, all of the Mario Karts are fun, but for some reason this one, it really hooked me, and I don't know if it was the two-player dynamics or the tracks or the music, but this is definitely my favorite Mario Kart. Luigi's Mansion. This was the release title for the GameCube, so definitely another must-own. I am ashamed to say that I didn't get this into my collection until like less than a year ago. I ended up getting this in a trade for a Wii U bundle that I had. I traded for a boxed NES, and this was one of the games kind of thrown in as little extras. Lego Star Wars, the video game. I'm not a big Lego person. I own several Lego titles. Majority of them I think are on my Wii, but I don't know how I came across it, but it's in the collection. Harvest Moon Magical Melody is my all-time favorite Harvest Moon game. I mean, this is a farm simulator game, so there's not too much to say about it, but Out of all of them, I think this one had the most charm. Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life, my second favorite for sure. I really do like this series. I don't get into it as much anymore. GameCube is kind of where it started and ended for me. The Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition. This one's pretty cool because I feel like back when the GameCube was relevant, this wasn't as common to get games. This had Legend of Zelda 1 and 2, Majora's Mask, and Ocarina all on one disc. You know, nowadays you get remakes, re-releases, whatever. But back then, I don't think this was as terribly as common. Another must-have is Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker. I haven't beaten this one either. I did recently get the HD version on Wii U, so I might end up giving that one a shot. I finally bit the bullet on Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, and I paid the $100. I hated that it wasn't in my collection, so I just had to get it. This game is insanely expensive. Gotcha Force. My friend found this at a Goodwill for $3, and I told him what he had. I can't believe he found this. And before he left out of state, he's like, oh, well, I didn't pay a lot for it, you can have it. And so now I have Gotcha Force in my collection, which is just insane. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. This game was kind of crazy niche, because you had to have the link cables and Game Boy SPs in order to play with your friends. I didn't play a terrible amount of it, but I'd like to give it a shot. So we've got Dragon Ball Z Sagas, which I really haven't played much of, and then Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1 and 2. I played Budokai 1 a lot. I don't play through fighting games a terrible amount, but Dragon Ball Z Budokai really had my attention when I was younger. Def Jam Vendetta. I feel like this game is getting a lot of love recently, and kind of going up in price. Of course, Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex. I haven't played that one a crazy amount either. Bomberman Generation, Blood Omen 2, might be another good Halloween game. And then two really awesome childhood favorites. The original Animal Crossing. I started in at Ground Zero, and this game was really fun. You gotta play like the NES titles within the game. There was cheat codes. I don't know, at the time there was not a lot like this, and that's what made it so special. And then my last game is Amazing Island. This one's kind of weird. You get to draw your own characters and play all these like mini games. It's not a terribly difficult game until you get to the end. The last boss is such a pain. Like, I don't understand. They made the whole game super easy, and then you get to the finale and I still can't beat the game. I always get to the end and I can. So those are my games. I have a couple of the color variant of consoles, so let's check that one out. So I have a couple of GameCube consoles. I think I have a couple of the silver, I think one of the purple. The only one I'm missing is the black one, which is, you know, something I'm keeping an eye out for. Unfortunately, the market has skyrocketed, so it's been harder to get a hold of those things. But I'm on the lookout, and if I ever see one on the cheaper end, I'll go ahead and pick it up. So something I almost forgot to mention is one of the my all-time favorite GameCube controllers, the Wavebird. I cannot tell you how many times I invisibly tripped over this controller, because as a kid I grew up with only wired controllers. So when this was introduced, I was literally tripping over nothing because I was not used to having a wireless controller. This was my first wireless controller I ever had. I also play with the Game Boy Advance GameCube attachment a lot. Like, honestly, I might use the attachment on the GameCube for Game Boy Advance games more than I do for the GameCube games themselves. Once again, thank you all so much for the support. It's been overwhelming. Special shoutouts to Retro Rivals, Gaming Off the Grid, Retro Wolf. I mean, there's been so much support, it's hard to name everybody. The Garage Gamer, and including me in the Brew Crew Live Instagram. Recently I was in the Retro Rivals live stream, joining a couple of nerds, which are amazing people as well. Check out their channel. So give me a comment down below. What's your favorite GameCube game? or give me a couple of them. Or if you saw something in my collection that I'm missing, let me know. But thank you all again. I appreciate it. Thank you.